Stray is a game where you play as a cat. That's it. That's the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. I guess I should actually make a proper review of this game instead of being a lazy fuck. Stray is about a cat who gets separated from their family and has to find their way back to said family. Along the way, while trying to find his family, he manages to help the population of a town taken over by darkness. Is it a simplistic story? Sure, but it's done in a way where it feels unique to the story and its characters. I think the first thing you should know about Stray is that it isn't your typical run-of-the-mill game. It's a game that won't please everyone, and it really depends on the person who plays the game. Also, sorry if I sound weirder than usual. I got diagnosed with COVID a couple days ago, so if I sound a lot more whinier than usual, then that's probably why. But I think this game is a breath of fresh air in an increasingly oversaturated market of schlock. I know, what a bold claim to make. I know every other guy and his dog have been shouting from the rooftops for years that video games are becoming more oversaturated, with good games becoming more of a rarity. With most game franchises releasing on nearly an annual basis, Stray is that one diamond in the rough that is an escape from all the mundane and monotonous shit that comes out. Stray is a game about a cat, but takes advantage of that premise really well. Instead of having a main protagonist who you relate to or like, you use this cat as a character to immerse yourself into this world, and instead of the cat telling you the story, the world does it for you instead. Shopkeepers trying to sell or trade you something, bots in the bars drinking, playing pool and getting intoxicated. The world is extremely dynamic, and every NPC in this world tells a story. There's even a side quest dedicated to you finding old music sheets for this guy who plays the guitar. And when you find them, he plays each sheet of music you hand him. Like, listen to this music is amazing. The environments in this game are probably one of the best things about this game. If the environments didn't look as good as they do, this game wouldn't have worked as well as it did. Because one of the main reasons why this game is so good is because of its world building. So you go through these extraordinary looking set pieces that look gorgeous to go through. I think that my favorite set piece would be this cyberpunk looking city near the end of the game. It just looks so clean and nice looking. There's even a sewer level, which even though I hate sewer levels in games, I just couldn't hate this one since it was just so drop-dead gorgeous and entertaining at the same time. The world is big in this game, but not too big that you'll easily get lost. The world's size is only the size it needs to be. It isn't so unnecessarily big to the point that it only exists to be praised for how many gigabytes it can use on your console. This world is also extremely detailed. Neon signs glow in the distance as you absorb your surroundings. Words will be affiliated in a different made-up language that will have to be read by your robot companion that can understand said language. There will be stores on every corner of a town, side quests galore wherever you look, and mountains full of collectibles that will give you more insight on the world itself. There will be things in the world that will make you feel like a cat. You can push things over with your paws, you can knock over glasses, plates, bottles, and pottery to be a nuisance to others. You can scratch random things for fun, carpets, curtains, couches, other cat things. Basically, the environment is made for what a cat can do. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is pretty self-explanatory. You play as a cat and do cat things a regular human couldn't do or wouldn't be socially accepted to do. I think the best part of this game is there being a button to press where you can meow. While this feature being mostly arbitrary and useless in the early game, it still is a hilariously cute feature in which you can use it for a laugh. Although later on in the game, you can use it to distract enemies, to be annoying, or as I said before, for personal satisfaction. Now, as a cat, you can't really fight back. which makes most of the scenes with an enemy feel extremely intense, until later where you acquire a special device called a light that is stronger than a normal light, which explodes those tiny headcrab looking motherfuckers.
Yeah! Oh, zap! Somebody got got, yo!
However, the game still manages to find a way to make things harder for you despite gaining an advantage, and that disadvantage is robot enemies. These robot enemies get introduced in like the last third of the game, and they make the game 10 times harder. Although the game is never hard to the point where it's frustrating, whenever you die in the game, it's mostly due to your own incompetence. However, if you were to get caught by one of these robots, then they will shoot you immediately on sight, which fucking terrified me. Like, Jesus Christ! These robots are trying harder than anything to fucking gun down a defenseless cat just trying to take over the world. A thing I also realized upon replay is that every gameplay mechanic has a purpose of some kind. If something gets introduced, you best believe that 9 times out of 10, you are going to be using that mechanic again. This brings me to my next compliment, the characters. This one is a weird one. The only real character who gets any development is BlueTwelve and Momo. BlueTwelve's character is a really good one. While he is your companion who helps you, this game also does a really good job of subtly developing his character. There are some moments in the game that make you feel something. Of course, I won't tell you which parts, but while some were predictable, a lot of those moments still made me feel something. This game, along with Journey, Limbo, and Inside, really prove that a game being linear isn't exactly a bad thing. It's just the way linear games are made. But this game really proves that linear games work, and they aren't dead. This game has definitely spawned a new genre of game, which is the stray-like game genre. Anyway, the length of this game took me 3 hours and 46 minutes to complete. Of course, this game does offer a lot of replayability, so in total I would say you get around 10 to 15 hours of content. For me, I would say the price is worth it. It's not full AAA price, but you would get quite a bit of content to go with it. If I were to put down one problem with this game though, is that this game just needed a little bit more time in the oven, polish-wise. Everything is pretty much functional and works as it should. It's just some annoying stuff like character models not being animated properly for going down certain stairs or just doing certain tasks. A couple of times I'd get stuck in place for trying to do something, and I would have to restart the checkpoint all over again. It's not broken or anything, but there are clearly some things that needed to be fixed before release. It didn't break my immersion as such. It was just noticeable at times that there were a couple of things that need to be polished a lot more. I guess one of the last things I should talk about is the ending. Now, I'm going to try and not spoil this as much as possible, so if you find me being vague at times, then that's why. I think the most I can say about the ending is that it's definitely one of those endings where it leaves the story up to interpretation. Kind of like The Last of Us Part 1, I wouldn't say the ending is either happy or sad. I feel like saying it's optimistic is a better term to describe the ending. I also feel like this game's difficulty is perfect. It's not too easy, nor is it too hard. It hits that sweet spot just right, where it manages to give you a challenge without being too frustrating. I've got to mention another big part of gameplay is puzzles. The puzzles were actually pretty challenging for me a lot of the time. Some came across as child's play, and the others were very, very frustrating. But you can definitely tell the developers had a ton of fun designing these puzzles, since the difficulty of the puzzles never felt jarring as they increased. It always felt quite natural. I think the most impressive part of this game is how many emotions this game makes you feel with absolutely zero dialogue. It's kind of like those episodes in cartoons like Samurai Jack where he'd have to get past those 3 blind mice and he couldn't talk or anything, or that one episode of BoJack where he's underwater and he wants to try to apologize to someone for something shitty he did. Those were the kind of same emotions I had when playing this game. Not even the robots speak, they instead mumble this jumbled language of theirs. And every time they talk, they speak in this kind of banjo and kazooie type of way. I really enjoy this kind of unique, wordless storytelling. I wish there was more stories like this in media. This story definitely leaves you in more questions than answers, and like I said before, it leaves itself up for interpretation. The one thing I really hope that they don't do with this game is making a sequel. Some games never really needed a sequel, but was welcome anyway, but there is nothing to work with in this game for a sequel. Literally nothing. Overall, Stray is a unique and creative game about literally being a cat. It has fun and cute puzzles with incredible artistic environments that overwhelm you with all sorts of emotions. So I'm going to give Stray a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.